Gumbo to Jina, Tamchin Bath and Babo, so no, you did the future, sometimes. Tamado Jana, giving is all a roye, to the Chulos of the Lord, on the Droga, Lamado, Labada, Lerab Dorje, the boy, the Jagadu, Sansa, Dorje, and Naroda, Mabamila, Chugambo. Pamora Bajavan, Magajula, Maso, and the Imo Kodachi, and the Bardo, Palon, Saluti, Hidojiko, Requio de Gila Manjo, Trunduji, so the sons of Bajavata, the Mungus, these are young. Some has a man, Yamna, Tony, Bemil, Bar, to also the Major Jensen, from a boy, Gila song. Simji don't do the Dachina Damba Chujin the so. The knee natural number then. Markety Satum Edixer. You also what you got it, not the Pecha Shini Yunti Mari. La lama tambe jani che tobi hore de ne ndriye de sira ja shu ma re yin yang gang ji ji de men ra ga chad de zhuo number progress.
So I'm going to share with you now the this text, the hitting the essence in 3 words, the Tsiksun Nedek, and that is Sogyal Rinpoche requested me to teach on this. But before that, I want to warn you that I'm not an expert, and I don't know the pechas, the text very well. I'm not very learned. I just happened to I have received those teachings from great masters, and so that's why. So I'll try my best, to just share that with you what I've learned. So it's like a mandala offering that I'm presenting you. It's like an offering from me to you.
Trinity, Ndrike, Pecha the Tomumani Bari, Longpot Ibiam, Samchin down, and Kimbo Patrul, which focus of the Samchin, Yore, the Pecha the Gumbore, Tep the Pesa Archimore, they didn't Katang up in the Hija humanity, Sanap Chibo Yore.
So the text I'm going to use to give this this explanation is a very secret text, a very rare text, and containing secret instructions, because there's this text of the Patrul Rinpoche's commentary on the hitting the essence in 3 words, but then within that there's also inserted commentaries by Khenpo Munsel and Lungtok Tempenima. So both of them, there's kind of interlinear kind of commentaries, like notes, if you want, like footnotes of those great masters. And this text is very rare, very difficult to find. Once again, I mean, I don't understand much about all this, but I feel that based on, if I give the explanation based on such a text which is so sacred, then I'm sure there'll be a great blessing.
토마다다 군조 군디 중고 람마이 베데 텔 사사와 코니 잠네 제니 바라 사사는 게서 람마의 향살로시 강이는 디 람마디 용딘 사제 군당 냠나야 디 가딘 사제 군레 락바레서 띵키는 뭐 강이는 디 디섬제 사제 탐제게 song to Mammy by you, don't Lama give it in you, Masola, Yamis and Habu Jibamena. Then he said with a little couple of your dinner, Tomma in Badani. Then Tumba Maber Garden Jeans, and Tumi talking about that. Tumba Maber coming there is.
So, first, so the text starts with it says, homage to the incomparable Lord of compassion, my root master in all his kindness. And so the text begins with the homage. And so usually, we pay homage to the object of refuge. And here, we're paying homage to the lama. And the reason is that the the Lama is, even though in terms of his qualities he is equal to all the Buddhas, in terms of his kindness he is even greater than them in terms of his kindness for us. And so here we are paying homage to the Lama, and because without the blessing of the Lama, without receiving the blessings of the Lama, then it'd be quite difficult to actually actualize the actual nature of things, the wisdom of Rigpa.
Sakson kundi yungo. Tani ko truk song long ko tok chuko le kusum kundi koncho go truk ngo tani lama le yun tin sang yo le tena de yun tin sam jel zaba lama le yungo yo tena koncho kundi so.
And the Lama is often also said to be like the all-embodied jewel. And the reason is that all three jewels are contained in the Lama. All three roots are contained in the Lama, and the three kayas as well. So those nine aspects are all contained in the Lama. For example, so the enlightened mind of the Lama is the Buddha. His speech is the Dharma. His body is the Sangha. So that is the three jewels. Likewise, his mind is the so his body is the Lama, his speech is the Yidam, and his mind is the Dakini, and so that is the three roots, and also the three kayas. So his mind is the Dharmakaya, his speech is the Sambhogakaya, and his body is the Nyamanakaya.
Tata Sansunji Pe Lamaji Sansunji Pe Lamadi Tigi Nang Sunza Tongde Lama Rang Seminelo Lam Top District Nimbodan Rang Sem District Nimbodi Mo Shimashi Chepermado Sunza Tongde Lamang the Rang Sem District Nimbon no Mo Shibate Nangal Lamares Se Lama Pe something more Nana Only Rang Sem District Nimboti Lama Nangal Lama Tereso Lama Minga Separa Sebena, the Yamson, Jimmy Tungde Lama Mena, Tatuk Jan in Nangal Lamares.
So that's why the text was saying, in order to explain in a few crucial points how to take to heart the practice of view, meditation, and action, first of all, as the Lama embodies completely the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, simply to pay homage to him alone is to pay homage to all sources of refuge everywhere. Then there's this commentary explanation by Khenpo Munsel where he says, the master who points out to us our nature is the Rupakaya, appearing in an ordinary form with a face and hands. What he points out is the ultimate master. So the master who points out to us our nature is sometimes it's called like the illustrative Lama, and then you have the ultimate Lama, illustrative Lama, because it's like illustrating, it's like the example showing, indicating us, giving us the indication that leads us to realize the absolute Lama. The absolute Lama being our Buddha nature, being the Tathagata Garbha, the essence of the enlightened mind of the Buddha, which is also the essence of our mind, which is also our Tathagata Garbha. But because we don't recognize it, then we just ignore it. We just ignore that our nature is actually this Tathagata Garbha. And so that is why we rely on the master on the external master. So as it says, is the Rupakaya, the master that appears in an ordinary form with a face and hands. So that is this illustrative lama, if you want, that so that appears manifest to us in order to help us to realize the ultimate master. The ultimate master being the clear light in the center of our hearts. And once this is awakened through the teacher's instructions, it is precisely this that we put into practice. So the ultimate teacher beyond any arising. Now, so for the main subject of the view, meditation and action. So this is what we are. The main subject is discussed in this commentary by Patrul Rinpoche. And it says, if you take the practice to heart while recognizing that the root and lineage masters are all inseparable from the true nature of your mind, this embodies within the wisdom of Rigpa the actual practice of view, meditation, and action. So view, meditation, and action are explained here by relating them to the meaning of the root and lineage masters. So that is of the masters of the close lineage. And so here, because of this, because the view, meditation, and actions are very much related within the master, to the root and lineage masters, and that because the root master are inseparable from our own mind, and that is why they embody the actual practice of view, meditation, and action. So here, in order to explain that, to explain the view, meditation, and action, Patrul Rinpoche relates it to the name of three of his masters. So first, the view is the realization that all the infinite appearances of samsara and nirvana in their entirety are perfectly contained and by nature equal within the all-encompassing space of the vast expanse. And so that is, they are the display in this all-encompassing space of Rigpa, and also called the basic continuum or ground tantra, and so on, or the Buddha nature. So basically, here, so what we're talking about is this. This nature, this Buddha nature, which is the basic space, and there are many. This basic space, free of conceptual elaborations, there are many names to refer to it in the different teachings, and so in the sutra teachings, it is called more like the Buddha nature. But then, for example, in the Father Tantra, so it's called the basic continuum or ground tantra, and so there are different names, and it's also called the vast expanse or Longchen, you know. And so all those are different names, but to refer to this same thing, to this vast expanse, free of conceptual elaboration. And so basically the and so this true nature of reality, free from any elaborations or complexity, is basically the union of the outer space and our mind, the nature of our mind, this wisdom of our mind. When we realize the unity, the indivisibility of the space, the outer space, and our the rigpa, the wisdom within our own mind, then this is the view, and so this is how we come to understand or to realize the view. So that is again, so this unity, this indivisibility of the outer space and the rigpa, which is indwelling within the nature of our mind, and this great nature of reality is also the basis on which all of samsara and nirvana arise. So the view of the nature, of the natural state, that is free from all elaboration, is realized with the wisdom that is the insight into the non-conceptual wisdom of vipassana. And this is vipassana that is never separated from a clear shamatha, free from the extreme of agitation, in which movement of mind is purified through self-liberation. So to put it in short, the meditation is the union of shamatha and vipassana. And so this vipassana, so is this realization, this wisdom, this non-conceptual wisdom. And to rest evenly and one-pointedly in that state of shunyata, without ever separating from the skillful means of the shamatha of loving compassion, is the meditation that unites emptiness and compassion. So when we rest in the meditation, and we don't follow after the destructive emotions, and so at that time there's a clarity, and so that clarity is the vipassana, and within that vipassana there is this aspect of a loving compassion, which is there. And so when we do this, when we do not follow after the destructive emotions, the thought that arise in our mind, but rest evenly, then at that time, then there is the vipassana, this wisdom, the non-conceptual wisdom, and at the same time, there is this aspect of loving compassion that is of the shamatha. And so in this way, we accomplish the union of shamatha and vipassana. And so that is because when we follow after the destructive emotions, when we follow after the thoughts and all the concepts that rise in our mind, then the mind becomes distracted. There's more and more self-grasping. Basically, when there is self-grasping, we are unhappy, we're kind of closed on ourselves, and it's pretty uncomfortable. Whereas when we release all self-grasping, when we do not follow after any of the destructive emotions, we just leave the mind as it is without following after any of those thoughts, then there is a great freedom there. There is the wisdom in that, and there is the love and the compassion in that. And so this is the union of the shamatha and vipassana.
Dorna sem with nero to gonna hingi gongores, sem to one the hingi and tregoreso. Don't hingi the gomba in us, gomba kinti is very so. Gomba kinti is the thinking meeting bar. Gomba kinti is very.
So, in brief, if we want to, the practice is to, the meditation is to bring together the emptiness and the compassion. So, when in our mind arises both those aspects of emptiness and compassion, this is what we call the meditation. And so that is why meditation is called Kien-tse-eze, rays of wisdom, so that wisdom is Kien, and love, Tse. And so the wisdom corresponds to the aspect of emptiness, realizing the emptiness, and Tse, the aspect of love, compassion, of the vipassana.
산축 선반은 이제 철당 tembe 이인핑 이제 바로 들서 맞죠 교바대 교바 잡은 요에서 진친 다들 봐 이건 뒤에다 요소 르파상을 뎀베 뒤서 강당 맞지마 딤바 마차바 처럼 왕람 잡아 즈바 무좀바 즈루 르파람합 something general 좀 시럽 쪽대 삼치리 다 발신 쪽 용디 제와리 오래 너는 제와들 발신 쪽 용디 람빈이 좋고요래서.
So, and Kien-tse-eze is another name for Jigme Limpa. And action is to be imbued with such a view and meditation, and then to practice the six perfections so as to benefit others in keeping with the ways of the bodhisattvas, the new shoots of the Buddhas. So action is Gyalwe Nyugu, that of the bodhisattva. So the Gyalwe Nyugu is the shoots of the Buddha, so that is a reference to bodhisattvas. And that is because the action now after the meditation, so when we rest in this view and meditation, then we practice the six paramitas. We practice the six paramitas in that view, in that meditation, so as to benefit others. And Khenpo Munsel says that when we experience Rigpa clearly and vividly, since there is no clinging to anything at all, that is generosity. So the first paramita is accomplished because there is no clinging to anything at all. So there is generosity. Since there is no attachment, that is ethical discipline. Since there is no fear in that state, it is forbearance. Without striving, still there is diligence. There is the concentration of naturally settling into Rigpa, and there is the naturally arising wisdom that abides as the ground. And so therefore, when resting in Rigpa, the 6 parameters are also accomplished.
대다와 따곰 주스 냠선이버 강자데 쇼다 깔바다 데마톤 버서 대들 냠선이면라서 대양 내빈버 토티니 직진 체디사와 땅데 제격도 냠선리니나 체들 까다가 여소도 조원저위나 체적 상제 라탕메스
So the people who practice in such a way are exceedingly fortunate, it says. They are, and so that's why the root text says, one who practices in such a way, so are able to seclude, and that is practicing in such a way that means that they are able to seclude themselves in an isolated retreat, put aside the worldly cares and activities of this life, and practice single-mindedly, so those people will be able to gain liberation in their very lifetime, in the ground of primordial purity.
책 상질라 당매서 니너다 가시게 삼다 오다 체의 상기스는 수레 상기스는 연통 아니요 상기에 카보리 산 거요래 얘는 상기에 용띠게 생건나는 요래 소속에 하고 그러마도 설도들이 나서 하고야 요 말이지 조금 상지 좀 뒤인데 샤리 죽주양 레 딱박해 용띠 통걸 레 마다비 쭉 통고요래 강위들 생기는이란 게 유무번스 바탕지 상리 라기 시랍 전부 제대로나 저니 랑게 등위에 된 유무 바탕지 랑게 좀 더는 낭 상지에 낭다다 상지래 저니 때 발도 당보 이반이 상자요래 오쇼감네 상지에 용디 생근낭나 요래 인근 통고 말해
So it says, the text says, one who practices in such a way may well attain enlightenment in this very life. So attaining enlightenment, that is becoming a Buddha, when we hear that, then we may well wonder, well, what is a Buddha? Have I ever seen a Buddha? Where it says, it is possible to reach Buddhahood, to become a Buddha in this life. Maybe it's not that simple, And we may so really wonder, well, what is it like? What is a Buddha? And so, well, we need to know that the Buddha actually is in our mind. This is, in our mind, all the qualities of the Buddha are completely present and there in our mind. And the only way that we can know about the Buddha and how the Buddha is by looking at our mind, because this is where those qualities are. Because even the external Buddha, like the Buddha Shakyamuni, if the Buddha Shakyamuni were to come here, only those who have very pure merit will be able to see him purely. But other people, ordinary people who don't have such a pure karma, will find faults, even in the Buddha Shakyamuni. So what it shows is that depends on our mind, how our mind is. And so at the moment, so all those qualities of the Buddha are present within our mind. They are there in our mind. The only thing is that we are not aware of it. We don't know that. And they are obscured. But this is the way to... this is what we need to understand, that the Buddha is so within ourselves. And it is just because of all those destructive emotions, those destructive patterns that we have, that we are not able to see this nature. We don't have the wisdom that enable us to realize this, to see this. And so, but then once we've, if we come to realize that, to purify those destructive emotions, then we'll be able to actualize those qualities. And so, once again, so the Buddha is not outside, the Buddha is inside, the Buddha is in ourselves. It is all the qualities of the Buddha, so are complete within the nature of our mind.
Tetra minjang Lerab Dorje tagom jusum la lokha sopata yojang cedri jingi lamda cheshiba tangso. Oh, cedri jingi lamda cheshiba kangri. Cedri natata dungezi yuna onde jenyu mongbe lesa yapa jinjeveresi. The sanquin the rang yung banderis and rang yung basotaku tangshi yoresi. Deva the yuna, oh, they just untook him with deveresi. Give up the Kurma. Dongapang, tap Dungi Lamda Cheshi or Teta, don't say the Jingi Lamda Cheshi Batang, say this of Yaga, Redomang Bombation. Some are Divani Deva Travajana Hatch. Say the Malamdam Tongo. Oh, Mali, Gini, Sani Masha, but the Shadow Malamda, Hako, then Redomang Boyo married. Ti kaza de sama deva ne deva tovan jowe na mi jang lo de ala la se ta kom chu sam lo kha so pa dang do lo de wo pe chi po yo res.
However, even if not, that means even if we're not able to attain enlightenment in this very life, simply by turning your mind towards such a view, meditation and action, that are beyond the conceptual mind, you will know how to transform all life's difficulties into the path, and you will have less hope and fear about the preoccupations of this life, and in the next life you will go from happiness to happiness. So the text says, and even if not, what happiness, what joy, halala. So the so even if we're not able to reach Buddhahood in this life, then whenever we experience difficulties, whenever we experience suffering, which are bound to happen in this life, in the life that we live in the samsara, then whenever we have such experience, then we're able to realize that they are just the result of negative karma. Because of the negative actions that we've done in the past, so now do we experience suffering. And likewise, when experiences of happiness come our way, we experience some happiness, some joy, then we're able to realize that they are the result of the bodhicitta, of having generated the enlightened mind, and that they are basically the result of positive actions. And so in this way, we realize we're able to see that all those, the suffering that we experience or the joy that we experience, all those are more like a dream. They are dreamlike. And there's, so therefore, as it says in the text, there's less hope and fear about the preoccupations of this life. And so the mind, therefore, is much more at ease. As it says, so the mind is happy. And there is this kind of, we feel much more relaxed. There's not always this tension that are in connection with all those hopes and fears, and because we realize that actually all those experiences, whether they be of suffering or they be of happiness, all those experiences are just like a mirage, like a dream. And so and that's why he says, even if not, what happiness, what joy, alala. That means that if we're able to see that, if we're able to realize that all those experiences of happiness or of suffering are just more like a dream, then they are not really as solid as we think that they are, but they're just more like a dream, then we feel so much more relaxed, and the mind is so at ease, and then we just experience joy after joy.
대다의 평용도 되면 따고 조선 림진 제발라스. 대다와 방법 따와 남설인서 제발 줘봐. 제발 체도네. 민인디는 따비 심지 요래데 레담보 바탐체나디 따와 돈에 대해서 공부만 공부할 때 신지지데 신지 심지리야그래스 드니 따와 또한테서 공부 겁내더니 심지게나 드니야 송거요래 따위 심지는 특별한 지지 좋다 균형 우선 따와니 따위문이 자나 양자원자원 너라래스 로키 르제데데데데 오 동일에서 동반일에서 들이 로키 조당 성 내lok토 내네 저바 탐치다 자와라 진기 차용 걸 되니가 대선 자원이지 된 논이가 말이에 송데 레당부가 심막치라 야래서 오랑을 르빠 남도 그래서 바로 뭐지 방고를 빠데리 되게 로사지는 이미 태송 제기 말이에 들이 따대 저리 곰나더니 라지 신세로 그래 무기가 보지 그래서 따와 고버거는 무기가 보여 라마는 무기가 보지나 되니 라빙 신세도 그래 소속인들이 네 머리에 태통 그 이미 태통 지나 네 봐요래 계속 아야
Then the text says, in order to explain step by step such a beneficial view, meditation and action, first I wish to set out at greater length how to take to heart and practice the view. And so now the commentaries that were added in the text explain the shinji, distinguishing between the views. But this is not so much for beginners, but people who have a little bit of experience already to explain those things, to go into those things, but then and to explain the views. But just to go over, so what is written here, it says, when it comes to distinguishing between views, according to the different yanas, we speak of the view involving mental analysis and the view of seeing reality directly. And although they are similar in the sense that they are views, to think that they are the same would be a real mistake. And so that is that here, the view, what is important to understand is that when we talk about the view, that is the view of emptiness. And so, but then it is realizing that the nature of things, the way things are, and how things are, it is emptiness. So realizing that the nature of thing is emptiness, but that emptiness is not different from the very nature of our mind. And so the nature of everything, the nature of our mind are not different. But then when we come to approach the view in this way, in those teachings, it is important to keep in mind also that we will not be able to get it through, as it says, the mental analysis, by thinking, oh, this is like this is like, maybe it's like this, maybe like that, and, put a lot of, go through all those kind of thoughts and discussions like this. It is through the path of aspiration, through the path of devotion, that is by trusting the teachings that are given by our teacher and following that, really aspiring to be able to realize that. And then slowly, by getting used to it, by getting used to those teachings, by practicing, then we'll be able to have this view. At first, it's just on the kind of more aspirational level, that is that you don't, the kind of realization you have of emptiness is not exactly emptiness as it is, nakedly, but it's just but then as you train yourself, as you meditate and following the instruction of your master, then you'll be able to have a direct experience of the view of emptiness.
Sixum nedishima de tambu, Dongsi Samji, Morang told the Trupase, Morang told the Trupa, then Rang sing with Nelo, Rangang Trupate, Morang told the Trupase. 타 찍토도 줘봐도 오 콘데가 슈 탐지 랑그 생각 나려고 만대봐 별로 것도 보면은 콘데가 이제 람이서 레벨이면 콘데가 이제 있어 군자 보면 싸고 쏘고 되고 산지 좀 뒤에 적식님 보고 랑그 센터 산지 그것이 이 통만 통 제발매들 콘데 이걸 셈 랑그 셈네 이를 매서 다 죽고를 타지 도도 제발은 콘데가 쉬탐지 생구주지 빼는 것이 삭진이다나 나와 셈송어데 나와 남지 가리켜지 생구주 강바지 가리켜지 생구주래 돼 주자 받은 뒤제래 뭐고 말해 아 종킨 셈설다나 오셈 나가도 그래 다 조지 종킨이가 강연지 아무도 삼지들이 셈플을 찾아요래 대답을 타지 도도 줘봐지 근데 이 타지 도도 깨는 디 타지 도도 깨봐 따와지 진시 봐요 봐 대뒤 뒤체매 봐 요거래 대 뉴모도 나도라 또네 등조 토도 잡아서 타지 도도 줘봐 뭐랑 도도 줘봐 타지 도도 줘봐 이때서 레라오래 등조 토도 잡아 뺏어버려 등조 토도 잡아 좀 따와 뭐 줘봤던 거 주고 말이 되나 측성지 봐대 뭐랑 토도 줘봐 타지 토도 줘봐 등조 토도 잡아 대선 로마는 배 semnu zungdu ta rumbo chi mangbo song chare da nge shere he go mare konso be gaza kapa da demba tamje re lama de ma denam de pet nge lab go mare de yin nang ta men da cha gang shi shi la gu yin che
So it says, as for the view Longchen Rabjam, the entire meaning of this is imparted in this advice on the three words, for when they hit the essence of the practice, delusion is put to death. So three statements strike the vital point. So it says, as for the view Longchen Rabjam, so to go into more detail into the view, which is so Longchen Rabjam, as was explained, the entire meaning that is imparted in this advice, so in this text, on the three words, the Tsuksum Nedek, then by means of those, so when those three words they hit the essence of the practice, then delusion is put to death. So there's no more delusion. And so that is the way that one should practice by means of those three words. And first, so that is the introduction directly into the face of Rigpa in itself. And so that direct introduction into the essence, into the nature of our mind by a qualified master through the fifth instruction of the master. So we're introduced to the, and so that is, first step is this recognition of the nature of our mind. And then there is this decision upon one thing and one thing only. That is this decision. Once we've been introduced, we've recognized the nature of our mind, we need to realize that also the nature of our mind is not different from the nature of everything. The nature of all phenomena of samsara and nirvana, this emptiness nature of all samsara and nirvana, is not different from the nature of our mind, is the very nature of our mind. And so this we need to come to realize and to have a kind of a definitive kind of decision, to decide firmly on this. And so, as it says, so deciding upon one thing and one thing only, that is realizing that all phenomena arise from the mind. As we say in the Mahamudra, it says that all the appearances are made by the mind. And so all the things that appear, all the phenomena that appear, just arise, are produced by the mind, are made by the mind. And so in this way we realize that they don't have any essence of their own, they don't have any reality of their own, they're just produced by the mind. And when we realize that they don't have any kind of solidity, reality of their own, then the grasping those to the phenomena, grasping to things, is also released because they don't really exist. So there's also no grasping there, and so we're able to rest, really at mind at ease and relaxed. And so this is this point of the second point, which is to decide upon one thing and one thing only, realizing that actually all the phenomena, the very nature of our mind that we've been introduced to, is actually the very nature of all phenomena, and that all those phenomena just arise out of the mind. And so in this way, realizing that they are insubstantial and they are not, and they don't really exist as such, and in this way releasing the grasping. And then, but even if we have that kind of firm decision, deciding upon one thing and one thing only, realizing and being sure that this is the case, that all those phenomena arise from the mind, yet it is important to preserve that, to maintain that by means of mindfulness, awareness, and vigilance, and always keeping that awareness present to our mind. And so this is the third point, that is the confidence into the self-liberation of thoughts, confidence directly into the self-liberation of rising thoughts. And this is the most difficult. This is the most difficult one, and because the first to be introduced to directly to the face of Rigpa in itself, and to decide upon one thing and one thing only, is not so difficult. But this confidence into the self-liberation of the rising thoughts, this is really the difficult part in these instructions on the of the Tziksum Nedek. But I will not go into the explanation. I won't explain too much on this because you've received a lot of teachings already from Sogyal Rinpoche and many other great masters, and so you are such fortunate students indeed to have received all those teachings. And so there's no need for me, who don't know much about this anyway, to talk about it.
Some dingy chimboyore. Yana de tamji Tawa de Tawatina Papson. Oh, the curry. You didn't mark made in a meditate of the Tetom Kami. You're there like Jeve, Chadang Topati. They are dingy meal. Oh, Tadama Chadang China Karishi. Chadang Shins are your marriage. Now I hear Chadang the junior. And he said, the ship from Lang. New Mochi Rangin King Matapa. Trapa de Dindi, Nordina, Trapa Tankita, Dimbar Dimba, D some Dindi Tampo, the chicken go, the ten Trapa saw chairs. So
the here it says in the text, so the delusion is put to death. That is when these three words hit the essence of the practice. Delusion is put to death. So that is when we are introduced in this way to the face of Rigpa directly, and come to realize the nature of things, how things are actually realizing the nature of our mind, and realizing how it is also the nature of all phenomena. Then we see that all those phenomena are not as solid as we thought they were. We thought that all the vast world and all the phenomena in there are just all very much there, solid, very present. But then when we're introduced to this view, then we realize it's just obvious that they're not there. They're not there the way we thought they were. They're not, really solid, present in front of us in this way. And so when that happens, then there's also no no grasping. There's no destructive emotions that arise. The desire, the aversion cannot take place because there's no grasping at the reality of those things, And so if desire were to arise, it's like, well, desire for what? Or if aversion would be the same, aversion for what? And so that is because of realizing when we're introduced to the view of Rigpa and we realize that, actualizing the nature of our mind, then we realize that all those phenomena are devoid of inherent existence of themselves, and so there's no grasping at the true existence. There's no grasping, and so there's no destructive emotions also, and so all the the delusion is put to death, and so the delusion, this kind of we have the delusion of our mind, so is not there anymore because there's no destructive emotions, because there's no self-grasping, because we've realized that all those phenomena are not really there, do not really exist.
So, they minds and there do Dambana is Haji Dana, Semji are sang of Roba days. Oh, Sim Nang Nelo, Tadarang Roba. Ye, Georgia, Torsa, Sunday, Sem Chipu Nelo, they want to go in. Semji are sang of Roba.
So, first, the first word introducing directly the face of Rigpa in itself is so the first point. So is this presentation of the method for introducing the view that has not yet been revealed. And generally speaking, there are many ways of bringing the view to realization. In the Sutrayana path of dialectics, the method of the Lung, that is the Lung being here the scriptural authorities or the scriptures. So in the Sutrayana, the path of dialectics, we rely on the scriptures and on the reasonings. Scriptures of the three Pitakas and the four principles of reasoning and so on. Those are the methods that are used in the Sutrayana in order to realize this view. And so it says that he's using the scriptural authority of the teaching of Buddha and the great masters, and through logic and reasoning, so to arrive at the realization of the view. And there's also the approach of the common approach of the secret Mantrayana, which by means of the wisdom of example in the third empowerment, and that one is introduced to the real ultimate wisdom in the fourth empowerment. So there are many different methods that are used that we can find in the teachings in order to come to realize this view. And though there are so many such approaches, here, according to the special approach of the great masters of the practice lineage, the nature of mind, the face of Rigpa, is introduced in and upon the very dissolution of the conceptual mind. And so that is this primordial ground, or otherwise known as the basis of liberation, the place of liberation. So that is where, that is the way to come to realize the view. That is when the master, based on the pith instructions of the master, then the nature of mind is nakedly revealed when we reach to we realize the primordial ground, or we realize we come to the basis of liberation, or to the place of liberation.
대양 샘 철도가 발압서가 되나 열지 지선다 넘도라 빠사비 샘저랑 열드베나 못대 좀 주바 대서 라고 남도 당주 주버서 내는 킹데 내 Dzogchen je kabla long rang san yo gobe jimchi ne rom le je long rang dang la song che kun to nyu mu be long da ne re pa yi ji je long yin zu je wa ne Dzogchen je chi chi no so de na long de long rang so la long je bo yo cho so ma re wa chang che de li long de da gang long dong wang song long de er guang long to de pin song de so long jiao bu dong jiao so ma le wa zang long kan lang ni dong a ngo de na ne ga de long ha se dong na xi se no so mo de ye dang de ni di sa yo yo ro so ye okay
So the text continues and says, amidst the churning waves of delusory thinking, the gross arising thoughts which run after the objects of perception obscure the actual face of mind's true nature. So even if it were introduced, you would not recognize it. Therefore, in order to allow these gross discursive thoughts to settle and clear, first relax and release your mind. And so that is the way to come to realize because it is obscured, the nature of the mind is obscured by the delusory thinking. So we need to clarify that, to clear this delusion away, so that to reveal the nature of our mind. And here, so it gives in text some instructions and some little explanation of how to do that. It says that in Dzogchen, the reason why we leave the breath to settle naturally is as follows. When the coming and going of the karmic wind energy is naturally dispelled, the wind energy associated with concepts and destructive emotions is purified, and the wind energy of the wisdom of Rigpa is brought into all-encompassing space. So this is a special, unique feature of the Dzogchen approach. And so, again, when in order to clarify the thoughts and to reveal the nature of our mind, so it is often advised that to breathe, to breathe kind of slowly. That is, not in a kind of agitated or hectic way, but very quietly. And that is like you leave the mouth slightly open, and then you breathe through the mouth, like kind of inhale through the nose, and then breathe out quietly through the mouth. And in this way, so that will help to reveal the nature of the mind. And so that is, as it is explained here, because when the karmic wind energy that is coming and going all the time, so is kind of dispelled, so goes away, so kind of exhausts itself, then the wind energy that is associated with wisdom then which is associated with the wisdom of Rigpa, so is brought into this the space, the all-pervading space, the basic space of phenomena. And so because of that, then do we practice in this way. It helps to reveal the nature of mind, to breathe in that kind of quiet, tranquil way.
당부 랑센 루데야 옹장 랑센 마피버 작바니 오사베 이시베라 규면람제 내로 마도베나 마규 힌지기베 이시랑은 synthesis merto mabda namponeso 랑센 루데 작바가 남부 망보 연구요래 네번 남도 이나 네바 조 차례 코가 통마면 나도 박차 망고로서 가리지 니보요 말이 망보도 받지나 망바 레조와도 로요마데 삼노당 토로 도고 말이 니보요 말이지 강이랑 그 생고 내로 도저데 다니 속에 상지 막 탑지 봐도 귀치신데 되더라. 나도 참지를 먹죠. 먹다 남도 매시.
However, leaving your own mind relaxed and uncontrived is itself the wisdom of clear light. So paths that are uncontrived, that is contrived through mental fabrication, can never bring you to the realization of your true nature. And to signify that this uncontrived co-emergent wisdom is there, present within you, the text says, neither scattered nor concentrated, without thoughts. And so that is when you try to rest, to relax your mind and just to rest, quite often there's a great deal of thoughts that arise in your mind. And so there's many thoughts related to the past, some related to the future, and so on. So all those different thoughts. But it is important to realize that all the thoughts related to the past are gone. Everything that is past is gone. This is finished. It doesn't exist anymore. And even though so we may have all those kind of habitual tendencies, kind of past memories, and that arise in our mind, we need to be really clear that they don't exist anymore. They're past. They're gone. And in the same way, also the future. When we think about the future, it is often not so comfortable because the future is not there yet. We think about all those things and we kind of speculate, but then the future is not there, and it doesn't exist yet anyway, and it is quite unsettling and uncomfortable. And so it is important that we realize that the most important, and until we reach enlightenment, is to rest our mind, relaxed and uncontrived in itself, and that in this way, so the wisdom of clear light would be there present. And so this is the most important, to really be able to leave the mind uncontrived. And so that's why the text says, neither scattered nor concentrated, without thoughts.
Le tambo ne kap na sem ramja nyung mang jang jang ne cha desar ma to pe nyam ji xin ba ta je pe ngang le da ma si pe na ngang ne ngang na sam le lu de de 어느 사람의 루트지 르고 통도 토도 대양 삼신이 근데 같이 대설마도 냠진의 중요소 그는 뭐지 대설마도 냠진이요 파사오나 네 봐요 말에 소들아 르고 통도 토도 요체 대설마도서 비강인장 랍르 버산 대비 민장 르고강 마쇼나 중송 이렇게 뭐
When you are a beginner, even if you maintain mind's fundamental state, resting naturally, it will not be possible for you to avoid fixation on the many experiences such as bliss, clarity, non-conceptuality that come in the state of calm and stillness. And so that is while resting in this even state or this state of ease, so those experiences arise, and as beginners, so we will have a tendency to fixate on them, to have some kind of grasping to those experiences of bliss, clarity, and conceptuality. And so here Khenpo Munsel says that it is said that when seeing the essence of Rigpa and abiding by that experience, circumstances such as bliss, clarity, and absence of thought can, in the best case, serve to make Rigpa even clearer. But even if they do not, as long as we do not stray from the ongoing experience of Rigpa, there is no fault. And so here, Rinpoche says, I think Khenpo Munsel is saying that actually, even so, if you have those experiences of bliss, of clarity, of absence of thoughts. If you do not stray from the experience of Rigpa, if you still maintain if you're still within the experience of Rigpa, then there is no fault. To free yourself from the cocoon of attachment to experience, lay bare the all-penetrating Rigpa from the tattered rags of ordinary thought, and reveal explicitly its true state, so suddenly let out a mind-shattering phat.
대양 자랑 알통아 그베나 자랑 알통 이마호소 니라 페디 태가들 숙지고 좀에 나보고 배 이로 또 선사원이 봐요 어디가 팍 이들이 또도 방이 또도 밴드 받침 보여요 대디 맥을 파다 sempre 쳤다 되게 sempre 쳤다 맥 파네 하이
맥 쳤다
맥을 파다 sempre 쳤다 그래 sempre 맥 파디를 sempre 리다지면 맥 파다 sempre 쳤다 하이
So this phat. So the idea here is to really say that sound phat very directly. It says, so the text has suddenly let out a mind-shattering phat. And so that is, when the meditation becomes a little bit kind of dull, you feel a bit sleepy, and so that is the good moment to let out this strong, phat there, which acts like a bit like a bomb, it just explodes all the dullness and all those things that kind of block the meditation, or kind of contrive it, and so you let that phat so very very clearly, very directly, and the way you do this is that your eyes are looking outwards, but your mind is looking inwards, and as you do that, so you let out the phat the way Rinpoche demonstrated, and so that's the way to say this phat.
다른 같은 이마호지 제체나 샘대인지 자대 탐지에도 자와네 조사니네 도마호지바다 조방 우드지 봐야 배나 깨야마에 헤디와스 샘디 드박가는 배봐 동성선도요래 나또 체도 그래 뒤집번 다 생구대로 때라 근데 샘도 나파 동반하지 내가 뭔가 마음보다 더 맞지와 되니 벌들 샘싸오 용요래 쭉 강도 간핑금에 하디와 가서 샘 동성이 다디 샘내로 본거요래 샘 동성이 요법감들이 샘내로 다 돼. 라고 사람들 오, 뭐 샘만 남파는 길이지. 깨끗이 퉁퉁퉁 돌아.
Since it is vital to cut through the flow of arising thoughts and destroy meditation made by the mind, the sound phat should be fierce, forceful, and abrupt. Fierce, forceful, and abrupt how amazing emaho, the text says. So that is, so when we say the sound phat, so the mind becomes like as vast as the space. Until now, the mind is our mind is limited, with all the thoughts, all the concepts, all the destructive emotions, kind of limit our mind. It's like in a small box. But then when you say phat, then it just liberates it and it becomes as vast as the space. We realize that this mind, our mind, the nature of our mind that we actualize at that moment, that we come in touch with at that moment, is as vast as space. And so that is this great this experience of the this deep experience of emptiness and clarity, this naked experience.
인들아 돕더리 방송도 상탈네 착토당 잡아 동지 착토 매버 동는 8월 무보 탐제 세진놈 봐저 거기 좀 속봐 상탈의 진배 르차 셈레 대베 이히서 니 상탈이 빼는 니는 미망 보여라 미망 보들이도 니를 패자고 오니 미망 보도 패자 패 작도 다치 패자들 패 강양 말이 미는 모두 패 다치까요 말 상탈을 되는들이 남도게 심지 징투로 말 또도 심지 인증상교 네 디시 말 딱도 막 내가 말고 패 아니 진짜로
So, in that state of Dharmakaya, devoid of any reference or reliance whatsoever, the direct realization of Rigpa, free from thoughts, that is this experience of Zangtal, this all-penetrating experience of Zangtal. And here Khenpo Munsel explains that Zangtal means free from attachment or impediment. And the sense of being free from attachment or impediment here is that outwardly all things are overpowered and inwardly nothing can affect it in any way. And so that is this experience of the naked awareness that dwells just as it is. That is the wisdom that transcends the mind. And so the text says, struck by wonder, Edewa, and yet all is transparently clear, Zangtale. And so Rinpoche was explaining this Zangtale, and the way to understand it is that it is the opposite of being kind of limited, in any way. There's this sense, and so he was giving the example of when you say phat, since here, there's a lot of people, so we're practicing together, and you have to say phat, and so you say a kind of, phat, and kind of look around, and because there's all those people around, and you kind of, you think about that, you think about, oh, what are they going to think, if I just say phat a bit too loud, and but say this is not like that, you just, sit straight and just say pet, whatever. And this is the idea of the Zangtale, Not the kind of, small in your corner and to kind of worrying about and thinking about, oh, what this other person is going to say. And this is not Zangtale. Zangtale is very much like that when you say you're just completely free of anything, of any thought, and you just let out your pet. And as you let out the pet in this way, then all the ordinary thoughts are destroyed, and so when you say pet, there's no room for the grasping for those ordinary thoughts. It's just this complete naked freedom, this openness, and so that's why this is what so Rinpoche was demonstrating difference between the two pet, and so that is the one full of confidence, free of any kind of, as it says, attachment or impediment.
상태의 생명이 심지 이제 단데는 심지성 심지라 꾸이제다 죽어 센당을 봐 니니 제지 말고 꾸이제지 와도 당소 롱마땡지 셈 남시 가리네 즉 초코 요래 남시 저게 그래서 서로 요지고 볼래가 삼시 그 요래 남시 그 군지되나 이 추가되는 셈 다들 셈 torture 생통성 하던 싸고 라르랑 살르지 랑근에서 랑 똑바디 추거래 랑근에로 랑 마도 서 남도 이스랑 같아 꾸이지 이 묘모 지원을 판도 요래 추거에 맞다라 셈싸고 요거는 묘모 강지랑 묘모바데 라로 요래 벨레 비시데 메다고나 묘모가 나도 참 부신다 랑 책도 그러
So there's this commentary here. It says, in making a clear separation, so there's the Shenji. Again, we separate between Alaya and Dharmakaya, between mind and Rigpa, between the two truth, and so on. So there's those distinctions that are made, those clarifications that are made in the teachings. And so the clear separation, clear distinction that we need to make, so between, so first the Alaya and the Dharmakaya. So Alaya refers to this kind of neutral kind of mind, the consciousness, this all-ground consciousness. And we need to make the difference to distinguish that clearly from the Dharmakaya. And this all-ground consciousness is different from the nature of mind, which is empty, clear cognizance, and which is self-aware. The nature of mind is this is aware of itself, is this self-cognition, self-awareness, and the Alaya doesn't have those kind of qualities. When we are not aware of this, when the nature of mind is not aware of itself, there is not that kind of awareness, then we are following after our thoughts, and that is the Alaya. And whereas the Dharmakaya, within the Dharmakaya, all the destructive emotions are lost within the expanse of the Dharmakaya. If you want, it's a little bit like an example of fire. Dharmakaya would be this incredibly fierce fire, and the destructive emotions like wood, the moment they're in the fire, they're just, burnt out.
하디와라 상탈레세 하디와라 상탈레 대답이 상탈레가 대양세 상탈레 셈싸고 보더라 남도 가르치나 남도 네바미가 남도 네바미가 상탈레 가지고는 셈싸고 보고는 유모 강기나 남도 민도 같아 상탈레 근데 진시유나 시력랑 속 마셔와 이제 상탈레 되고 싶어하네.
So, it says in Tibetan, so Edewa la Zangtale, that is struck by wonder, Edewa, and yet all is transparently clear, Zangtale. So, this, the all-penetrating, unimpeded awareness is the key point of the inexpressible and naturally inherent wisdom beyond all extremes, such as rising and ceasing. So, this all-penetrating, unimpeded awareness. So that is a translation of Zangtale, all-penetrating, unimpeded awareness. And so that means that within the state of Zangtale, when we have this all-penetrating, unimpeded awareness that arises in the way that was just described, then when we have that, in that state, then all the conceptual thoughts have no power. They can't do anything within the state of Zangtale. And so Zangtale is very much so that clarity, that unimpededness of the wisdom of Rigpa.
我东北有本他的桌，让比这边没本他的桌，去个头里伢这个让比你不怎么他的桌，新郎人啊说的到你的就会，就不他的桌，他的全部用的这，刚人呢，能把上街不打的钱啊了有的了，就忙不都可以的，咱们人中他记得就忙不有的，开始打不他的锅，打不的，点不的，这。지금 몇 개 통고도 딱 와야 돼. 되는 거. 대야 노려래. 당신들 제일이 뭐다 봐라지. 오 같이 찍다 요 말이 오 당근이 무독서 로지나. 야 dim들로 하면 봐또 dim들. 님벨레사 님밍고요 봐. 대야 말이 딱 지엔 탈이 좋으면 되게 뭐 동반 남카다 되게 옆에 탈이 좋아 인지. 다때는 똥장리 말이 라비 서비스 이들 쌀똥송도 욕받대 또 사제 탐제 톡 나보다와 용디 서버라비 살라미 하고요 라선 라르랑자 하고요 서와테 뭐 동반 남카다 무슨 미발이지 대니 하고 송 대니 송저이나 나보다와 타도 좀 탐제 다와 좀 탐제 딱 체인 살이 좋아서
So since the essence is empty, it is free from the extreme of existing. Since the nature is cognizant, it is free from the extreme of non-existence. And since it is by nature the unique sphere of Dharmakaya, it is free from the extreme of multiplicity. And since it abides with the character of the 5 or 25 wisdoms, it is free from the extreme of singularity. So this refers to the fact of the faults that we find in many different traditions, or spiritual traditions, or philosophical traditions, and most of them kind of come to some limitations, and by asserting that, for example, something exists, that there's something permanent there, there is a kind of a ground, a basis for everything that is truly existent there, that is real. But that is a mistake. To consider there is something that would be true, real, and permanent is a mistake, because all phenomena are actually compounded phenomena. That is, meaning that they all arise due to causes and conditions. So there's nothing that is permanent truly there. Likewise, there's others who say that actually, well, nothing exists. Everything is empty. Nothing exists. Well, that is also the fault of because actually everything arises due to causes and conditions. There is this undeceiving law of causality. As it says, there is always, whenever the causes come together, you'll have the result for sure. The result, the fruition, will always come when the causes are gathered, and so it is important to understand that. To understand that when we say, for example, that everything is empty like space, what we mean is that there is an aspect of the reality of things which is like space, which is empty like space. But there is also the aspect of clarity, the aspect of cognizant. And so the nature of thing is the union of the emptiness and the clarity. There is so the aspect of clarity is this aspect of cognizance, of being able to know things. And there is the nature of thing is at the same time has that quality of being able to know, and at the same time being empty, devoid of inherent existence of itself. And if we are able to understand that, then we won't fall into any of the extreme of eternalism, of thinking that there's something that is truly existent, that is real, or the extreme of nihilism, of thinking that nothing exists, there's nothing there. That is, so if we understand that, if we're able to realize that, to understand that union, indivisibility of the emptiness and the cognizant nature, then we'll be free from the extremes of permanence or at the extreme of non-existence. So this takche tanjalwa.
Chuka tele nya jigram ji yimbe taman thale torso o send taman mangbo chule dina mare se konde ge chu tangje konde yiwa na mandil me konde yiwa yete rang de seng ne ro jimba thong ndile de tabade ba saman dinen go chpa re de yimbe na chuka tele nya chpa yimbe taman thale torwa yin.
So this all-penetrated, unimpeded awareness is by nature the unique sphere of Dharmakaya. And so it is free from the extreme of multiplicity. So there is also the extreme of thinking that there are many, many different things. So that is the extreme of multiplicity. And this is something that we could, genuinely think, oh, there's all those phenomena, and so all many, different kind of things in the world. But actually, we need to realize that all the phenomena of samsara and nirvana are contained within the expanse of the Dharmakaya. And so realizing that is what we call the unique sphere of the Dharmakaya. And this, within the unique sphere of the Dharmakaya, so when we realize it, we are free from the extreme of multiplicity.
장미 받더니 세비윤디는 자꾸 빼 대답지 뭐 셔는데다오디 셔는데다오는 이마 보나 진짜 송 망고 연구요래 세고 찍바래 몇 돌매 와라 지금 연구를 레레리 각각 말해 셔당도 타마데 바데 별 독경을 봐 셔라 저기 셔는 자송지 되더라 오몇 돌마고 받더니 사지 거선 거 윤디 상교요리 되는 집어살이 좋은데 집어가 좀 매서 근데 미시 집발이 마원제 공부 동지 집발 놓고서 말해.
But then since it abides within the character of the 5 or 25 wisdoms, it is free from the extreme of singularity. So the opposite of multiplicity is singularity, and we may we may think, okay, well, as we just said, this is just the unique sphere of the Dharmakaya. That is all there is, and so we may think, okay, well, that's this unique thing, this unique sphere that is the reality. But then that is not the case, because even if we in this way didn't fall into the extreme of the multiplicity, we also shouldn't fall into the extreme of singularity. And by understanding that actually this sphere of the Dharmakaya, so it's full of all the qualities, all the kayas and wisdom manifest out of the Dharmakaya. So it's not also like one single unity. And there's all those kayas, all those wisdoms that manifest out of the Dharmakaya. Not that they are different things, not that they are different from the Dharmakaya. If you want, it's a little bit like if there's this crystal on the prayer wheel of Rinpoche, and if some rays of light kind of touch the crystal, and so then there would be many rays of light that like a white light would enter the crystal, and then you would have lights of different colors that come out, like a bit like a rainbow colors, But it's not that those rainbow colors are different and different from the crystal or something else there. It's just this is just manifest, appears in this way. It's just different manifestation, but it's not that there are different things. And so in the same way also, all the different, like the three kayas, for example, the different wisdom are present within the Dharmakaya. They manifest out of the Dharmakaya, but they are not different from the Dharmakaya.
Semni jenga yo mi la so ban ta le de she nga ta yi ji so to ge ye lin de ba rang ne yu dra de ne yin be na samma ta zong yu de me so ta ja na sam bi me ro ba ne luk de nga ni yu ko yu ji me si pe ko pe pram se ba ye da me ki ta shin shi kar pram ja na nga mo ja na me ki ta shin shi kala Kinesiana, oh, Namo Soka, Carido, the Lapsi, Namo, more of you love your money. You the man don't have some humility.
So this all-penetrating, unimpeded awareness is the key point of the inexpressible and naturally inherent wisdom, beyond all extremes, such as rising and ceasing, existing and non-existing, and so beyond words and out of reach of mental inquiry. And so the text says fresh, pure, and sudden, so beyond description. So this experience is... So as it says, it's beyond description. It is beyond all those extremes that we usually use to identify things. And so it is a little bit like give an example. Again, if someone who's mute and is given something sweet to eat, then this person, even though he's able to appreciate fully, the taste of the sweet, but is not able to describe, what it is like. So it's the same. So it is beyond description.
Sama tarzung yu de me se te tawa ne dong te chuka yi ne je rikpa namjo lamjo kada tudar je dong je tawa yi me na tudar dong je tawa yi me na de kora ngo ma shi je par de chatar gom je nyam se lam kyang lubje kim ta gom le bna we na di chuka jineje baadhi namjul lamjaka da tujar tongje tawaye bene aso de rangna ne ma de range donna rikpa rango de ma shi na tani nyamse lembe kamne nyu mo ma da na to tamje chor to yo mari bella de ma tumne tani gom Libzi kyum gomle madawe ramji dzogpa chimbe lamsa napsa rangwe gomi san khole ne mi pe na den khona ngoshi ba tambo gar chewe rpa ngoshi de gar chimo yinso
So the key here is that Rigpa, which abides in the ground of Dharmakaya, is the primordial purity of the path of the yogins, the absolute view of freedom from all elaboration. And until you recognize this one point, then whatever meditation or practice you do, you can never get beyond a fabricated, mind-made view and meditation. The difference between this and the approach of the natural Dzogpa Khenpo is greater than that between earth and sky, as it does not possess the essential point, that is, the unceasing flow of clear light, which is non-meditation. So here it says that the key point is the Rigpa. So Rigpa, which, as well said, so it abides in the ground of the Dharmakaya. It is the primordial purity of the path of that the yogis or the great practitioners. It is the absolute view of freedom from elaborations. All are the same reference to this Rigpa. And this Rigpa is necessary. If you don't have the Rigpa, then you won't be able to liberate, the destructive emotions. When destructive emotions arise, then if you don't have the Rigpa, then you won't be able to liberate them. And so the Rigpa is most important. It says, so the difference between this and the approach of the Dzogpa Khenpo, so a practice where without, that is the difference between a meditation and a view that are fabricated by the mind, and the approach of the natural approach of Dzogpa Khenpo, says is greater than that between earth and sky, as it does not possess the essential point being this unceasing flow of the clear light of Rigpa, which is the non-meditation. And so that's why the text says it is most important, first of all, to recognize this and this alone, to really recognize the Rigpa. And then, so the root text says, recognize this as the pure awareness of Dharmakaya.
Garab Dorje Changhane, you do the Batawa in your mong, the Latin go by your mong, tell it Cuba tongue che, tell it river by your own torson, so with the but I shan ni, Gansong or dinner. Chukul Pang to the young double dog, king is a treasure, she, the Tawa young Tawa, daughter Mato, take it says on what it. Kong the Jum Kashira. 중에는 네 악망하기는 것도 똑같아서 망도 그래. 따로 똑지 기니도 되지 시소. 네 상신데 공라랑게 기하래 뉴몽바. 빈 동에 치고. 강내 치고도 용. 네가미 가르쳐. 야, 누구도 나도 저 다운은 야잖아. 저는 믿으려고 요래. 벨라다다 추게 동일이 팽겨오래지 낭부 추 대신에 동일을 가리 팽겨오래 덴바니 그 팽겨오래 덴바니 가리 팽겨 그도 준비해서만 배시는 오 랑거세 바랑은 민바래지 랭이바지 지나 뭐 뉴모 쿠치와래지 야 들은 대화도 통오 제 산적 생겨져버래지 내 기분 되버래지 그도 덴바를 치네 랑게 적기와 덥시바 동에 빵시바 드리핑 요래지 동남도 조바침비 따와라 띠네 대와야 남보리 동네야 남도리 남도 탐시 식탐나 서로 열지지 동네도 마직 남남도 생각 남도 식도 요래 디선들이 따부터 제經驗的这些等这些要别人空的嘛些呢这是你公嘛不都我们嘞Garab Dorje Changhane de我们嘞你晓得这个嘞对对我就我们嘞
Rinpoche is so this defines the approach of the Dzogpa Khenpo and the way that describes the view, and that is, if it's a view that is contrived or made by the mind, that is just a delusion, or that is, if it's a meditation that is based on this kind of view, this is also just a obscuration or creating more obscurations. And if it's a conduct that is based on such view and meditation, then we're just exhausting ourselves for nothing. And the result, the fruition that will come out of that is just delusion, more delusion. So this is what Garab Dorje has said. And so that really brings out clearly the way that we should be practicing and the kind of thoughts in the meditation that we should be avoiding. And that is the problem that we have, and that is the problem of the suffering. And it is said that the Dharma can really help overcoming the suffering. And so in practicing in this way, we'll be able to overcome the suffering. But then the way that in the Dharma, so we overcome suffering, it is by means of the true truth, and that is on the relative level. So by means, thanks to the teachings on the relative truth, then we understand that all phenomena, all the relative phenomena, arise from causes and conditions. And so, therefore, also all the sufferings that we experience is due to the negative actions that we have been doing, and so therefore, if we don't have that, then we just think, oh well, it's just destructive emotion, or it's just negative emotion, negative thoughts. I mean, what's the problem, But then if we are aware that actually all those negative thoughts that we have an impact, they are causes for further experiences of suffering, then we'll change the way that we are acting, the way that we are thinking, and in changing, then we'll experience less and less suffering, because we'll be removing the causes for our experiences of suffering. And in the same way, we come to understand that the fruition of Buddhahood, this the experience of unlimited experience of happiness, well-being beyond all suffering of Buddhahood, is caused by the bodhicitta. And so because of that, then we come to generate the bodhicitta, and thanks to the bodhicitta, we're generating experience more and more happiness. And so that is so on the relative level, but then also the teachings on the absolute level, that is the absolute view of the Dzogchen, also help us remove the suffering. And that is by realizing that all happiness are just namtok, they're just thoughts, they're just constructions. All experiences of suffering are the same also, just construct, they're just namtok, just thoughts. And so if we're able to realize that, then all those experiences will be able to destroy, as was said, to put an end to all the destructive emotions. And so we have, with that, definitive confidence in the view of the Dzogchen. And thanks to this confidence, then also eliminate all suffering.
There are thousands of things that are said. Tambo things that said. Part the land alone. Tamang sarjan namdi the charguso. Pen de hajaki chimori. They young drata will no pass it. Zokti Nivalimba, Chove Yamson, Dushitiran Simarzi, Duzi Leso. Namshi number Shipadi. Tea can they do charge a pang using Barsene. There you get Tom. You are along the Nimon Tongati. You are troll. 강리는 뉴몽티 조지 이 시적이 매적 하나 뉴몽가 강리나 이 시적이 뉴몽가한테 좋다고 그래야 돼. 뉴몽가한테 이 시적 조지적 민적을 보면 민가 프로젝트들 그래서 빠지고 무정되는 근데 뉴몽가한테 랜덤으로 나이나 제 매적 그래서 빠지고 그래 돼. 대 좋잖아. 좋다와 약보래지. 대 좋을 맞으면 좋다와 같이 장난이 따와리 좋으래. 무구공 그래지. 뭐 따와니 이미 대통령 지금 남말 무구공나. 대 야래지. 따와리 대통령은 내 봐요. 계속아.
Then there's this important example that shows how we practice and how to liberate also all those thoughts and how this happen in the practice. And so it says that, for example, when there's one enemy that harm us, so he's harming, so we experience some kind of physical, we can experience some physical pain due to the because of him. There's also at the level of the sensation also a painful kind of sensation. At the level of our, it says the perceptions also. There's some kind of unwanted, unpleasant perceptions that arise at the level of our mental formations in the mind. There's also great experience of suffering and the accumulating or more negative karma, and so. And at the level of the consciousness also experience of suffering. So basically, because of the of one enemy, so there is at the level of the five aggregates experiences of suffering and accumulation of the cause of further experience of suffering. But then, if we can overcome that one enemy, then those five aspects, those five different types of experience of suffering, are overcome as well. And so it is the same also. There are many different destructive emotions, and often we talk about the five poisons as the five main destructive emotions. But then one single wisdom, the single wisdom of Rigpa, is able to overcome all five in the same way. By just, by applying the wisdom, by bringing forth this naked awareness of Rigpa, then we are able to overcome all the many different destructive emotions all at once. And so it has this ability, and so that is, it says, the ability to liberate. So all those destructive emotions into the space of the five kayas and the five wisdoms. And so this is the way that we should practice. But that is if we have enough stability in our practice. If our view of Rigpa is strong enough that we can overcome all those negative emotions. But what happens sometimes is that destructive emotions can arise, and we're not really able to fully kind of overcome them by bringing out the view of Rigpa. And that is, we just think, maybe we have some kind of doubts whether it is really the view of Rigpa. Are we really overcoming the destructive emotions and so on? It's not really clear. There's not that kind of clear, kind of naked awareness that kind of burns away all the destructive emotions. In this case, then it is the way to practice is very much the path of aspiration, to really pray to the Master so that one day we be able to actualize that, to realize that. That is the way to practice in that case. So this then is the first of the three words which hit the essence. If the view has not been introduced and recognized, there is nothing to maintain in meditation. So this is what we've been explaining, and this is why it is so important, first and foremost, to be introduced to the view. And since the natural inherent wisdom is introduced as something natural and inherent in you, it is neither to be sought elsewhere nor is it something that you did not have before and that now arises newly in your mind. So so the first vital point is introducing directly the face of Rigpa in itself. And so Rinpoche will stop here today.
Thank you.